Today I've got one of our lovely clients, Tracey Pomelli, who's come in to just have a chat through what we did together and how that's impacted her. So welcome, Tracey.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thanks so much for coming in to talk to me. Just remind me what were you struggling with when we first spoke?
It was a few things really. I mean, main thing was stubborn weight, that I just couldn't sort of get the needle going in the right direction, and same with the tape measure really. The other thing was cold hands and feet, and wondering whether I'd got a thyroid issue as well, because it's definitely something that my mum has, and also her father. So I did wonder whether it was something that sort of ran in the family, which obviously can kind of contribute to the struggling with the weight side of things. So that was the main sort of impetus for contacting you to get the testing done.
And what did you find out from the testing?
Fascinating, I have to say. I do find all of that really interesting. I've done a lot of research on my own anyway, but just to get that absolute clarity of information around it. It turns out I haven't actually got a thyroid issue, but I am very much on the low end of the scales, and I know you very much talk about being optimal. So rather than just being normal, it's being optimal. So where I am on the low end of the scales. Anxiety was something that I was kind of suffering. Well, not anxiety as such, but I could kind of feel like butterflies in my tummy every now and again. If something would happen, it would kind of trigger me, and I would get this kind of butterflies in my tummy feeling. And it's all to do with, obviously, as you know, the cortisol and obviously all the different hormones. Some being lower than they should be, and other ones being higher than they should be. So it's just kind of getting that balance. So with all the supplements that I was advised to take, and making some really just tweaks really to my lifestyle, and adding in some extra foods that I perhaps was eating, but perhaps wasn't eating sort of as often as I perhaps should have done. So just as an example, flaxseed, I used to have that every now and again, perhaps 3 or 4 times a week, but now I religiously have that every day for obviously the phytoestrogen. So it's just really making some of those tweaks and being pointed in the right direction with everything. So
did we find you had sort of low estrogen, and that's what we were advising in terms of correcting that?
I think so. To be honest, because with the Dutch test, as you know, there's so much information on there, and I've gone back over it myself and had a look at it. And, well, you need a degree to be able to understand it anyway, which is obviously where you guys come in to kind of translate that information. So some of the figures were a lot lower than we would perhaps sort of expect them to be.
Right.
But yeah, overall, I'm feeling loads better, I have to say.
Amazing. So what's improved for you? What's changed?
So not having the cold hands and cold feet was another thing that I had. Just completely like freezing. Didn't matter if I got fluffy socks on and slippers, and they were just like blocks of ice. My feet were. So that is completely gone.
Really?
Which I guess is probably all to do with the circulation with some of the supplements. I think part of my issue was where I'd got a good diet, my body just wasn't absorbing some of the nutrients. So I think that was sort of part of the problem that's perhaps been corrected. Yeah. Weight hasn't changed a massive amount. I've only lost a couple of pounds since we started working together, but I'm guessing that's something that is probably going to be a long process. And I'm not massively overweight. It's just obviously just want to kind of get rid of a few of those pounds that have just kind of sticking around really. Yeah. The anxiety is completely gone.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so I haven't had any of those sort of like I say, butterfly in the tummy feelings. So and sleep has definitely improved as well. I mean, I do still wake up in the night, but I do track it with my Fitbit, and the score on that has definitely improved. And I do feel a lot more rested as well. So that's obviously again with the nutrition and the stress management and the supplements as well is all. It's all connected, isn't it?
It's all connected, yeah. And sometimes it's really tiny things that make a difference. So when you're doing lots of tiny things together, it makes a difference overall. So
yes.
Yeah. So overall, you're feeling a lot better.
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So was it worth the investment?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, no doubt about it. It is expensive, and I knew that having the testing was expensive. It's not something that you can get on the NHS, and if you do get any testing on the NHS, it's not a full picture. So it's kind of pointless really. So but yeah, it's definitely worth investing in yourself to get the answers really, because otherwise you just you could be taking all these supplements or adding these dietary changes, and you don't really know whether they're the right thing for you, because we are all individuals. So you've got to make sure that you're doing the right thing for you to get the results. Really, it's been a very different year, hasn't it, this year? But I do very much believe that if you don't look after yourself, then obviously you can't look after everybody else. So it's all about making sure you're filling your own cup before you can help other people. And I think this is all part of looking after yourself and getting yourself right, so that you can then look after everybody else.
Getting that oxygen mask on first. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I know we spoke about that before.
Tracey, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us your story. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Nikki.